Hi guys, it's Sunday evening here in the Philippines and I'm doing a challenge video tonight for Mike Espo. He wants to see our gassers, which I think a lot of us are into gassers, so this should be an easy challenge for a lot of us, for myself included. So I brought out some of my gassers, some that are not so common that you see quite frequently. So I tried to bring out different variants because there are only like a few castings of like true gassers. Like mostly the iconic gassers have a straight axle and kind of a raised front end stance with the back end kind of sagging a little bit. To kind of give it that white distribution, but that's not always like what a gasser is. That was just the more popular gassers, but the name gasser just came from a car that runs on regular gas instead of race gas. So guys took it to the next level and started eliminating parts, lightening cars up, and things like that. Even to the point where it kind of, I could say, influenced the Chrysler experimental team to build the AWB Dodges, the altered wheelbase cars, because of the weight distribution to the rear tires. And these are kind of known as the first funny cars, the AWB cars. They weren't flip-up bodies, but they were this altered, lengthened, not really lengthened, but just altered wheelbase where everything was shifted forward. So those are cool. I consider those to be gassers too. Then you have your fuel altereds, which were like really, really tiny cars like the Fiats and the Bantams and the 27 T-Buckets and things like this that were heavily modified, usually just a body shell sitting on top of a tube chassis. Those I kind of consider gassers too. So that's kind of what my gasser lineup is made up of, is your typical straight axle, raised front end gasser, then your AWB cars, and a couple fuel alters. So anyways, with all this being said, I do have more gassers and I will be doing more videos in the future on them. That's why you don't see all of them out here right now, because they're kind of lined up for another feature that I have planned. Probably even next Saturday I will be doing a good video on the 66 Supernova, but I'm going to be unboxing every casting of that car, every variant release of that car. I will be doing minus the first release. That's the only one I don't have in my possession here, but every other one I do have, so tune back in next Saturday for that one. But in the meantime, we're going to do this one for Mike Espo and show off some of our gassers. So, some of these you've already seen. We'll start with maybe one that you haven't seen yet. This is an altered wheelbase 63 Pontiac Le Mans. As you can see, as I said, everything shifted forward. Like the rear wheel opening used to be back here, but they move everything forward probably about 12 inches or so. It has a blown and injected Pontiac motor. This is probably one of the most famous Pontiac racers, Arnie Beswick, nicknamed the Farmer. This casting's from Johnny Lightning. Very cool little car. It came from the Showstopper series, but I think it appeared in a couple of other ones too. But this is probably one of my favorite Pontiac drag cars. He also ran a 69 GTO Judge called the Judge, and it was a funny car. It was pretty cool too. But this is, like I said, these AWBs, I think, were influenced by the gasser guys to kind of put that weight transfer to the back tires and do everything possible, but still try to maintain stock body dimensions, even though the wheelbase is altered. So, very cool car, one of my favorite Pontiacs that I have. Then the next AWB, this is from Chrysler. This is the one that started it all, I should say. This is actually a factory car that was released from the factory from the Chrysler experimental team. They built 5 Cornettes and 5 Plymouth Belvederes, and they were used to race in the 60s, and I know Dick Landy had one. This is probably the most iconic Mopar racer that had one of these. Then there was Dave Strickler, which I have his here. He got one. Then there was Bud Farrell, I think is his name. He got one also. The other two Dodges, I'm not sure where they went, and I'm not really familiar with the Plymouth Belvedere drivers, but they did have Grumpy Jenkins hosting one, but it was not a factory one. It was actually modified by the owner, the Black Arrow Plymouth Belvedere. He actually modded the car in 66, because in 65 it was hosted as just a regular super stock. I think it was a post car. It may have been a hard top though, but it was a 65 Plymouth Belvedere. Grumpy Jenkins ran it and won some national records with the car. And then in 66, they changed it to an altered wheelbase car. But these were kind of outlawed by NHRA because they said you couldn't move the wheelbase no more than like 2 inches, something like that. So these were really extreme. They were like, as I said, like 10 or 12 inches, something like that. So it was ridiculously moved forward. So they had to run these cars in kind of like an outlaw class, and I think it was in the AHRA at that time. But anyways, a lot of guys don't know that Grumpy Jenkins actually didn't start with Chevy. He started with Mopar, so that's an interesting fact. And then, as I said, this is really cool heritage for Mopar because these were actually factory cars, but very few were made, extremely rare. All 5 Dodges and all 5 Plymouths were turned into race cars as far as I know, and they were nowhere near like street legal as far as what I remember. But anyways, yeah, that was the only AWB car that was released in the factory, so very cool history on those cars. Anyways, let's move on to a fuel altered. This is a 30s or 40s Fiat 500 Topolino, I think is what they were called. This came from Greenlight. This is actually a green machine, as you can see the green body. We unboxed this a few weeks ago, maybe 2 months ago, and this is a perfect example of the Fiat Topolino fuel altered. Most of them did have like small block and big block Chevys. This has the big block Chevy. You can tell by the split center ports. Small blocks have Siamese center ports. Has like a Hillborn or Inglis fuel injection system on it. Very cool car. They did a very good job representing this because they were really tiny cars too, just like the modern Fiats. So anyways, they did a fantastic job on representing this old fuel altered. So this is the only fuel altered I have out here. Now the rest of these guys I'm going to show you are your typical iconic gasser. Straight axle, raised front end stance, like radiused wheel openings on the 55s, of course, but the other ones, no. And then usually like lightened front end in some way, but a lot of these don't have that. I know a typical thing on the gassers is to remove the front bumper. That's why Hot Wheels did a fantastic job with their 55 Chevy gasser. I'll show you the Melon first. Because it has the removed front bumper with the little moon eyes tank, and that's these gas tanks. That's what this is supposed to be up here, and it was made by Moon. This is what put Moon eyes on the map because all the gasser guys wanted this for building their cars. So that and then their little Moon hubcaps were what made Moon eyes so popular. And nowadays it's like an icon in the diecast world to get cars with this Moon eyes logo on it. So a lot of guys just buy them because they're trending and don't know the heritage behind it. This is your 2018 Melon 55 Chevy Hot Wheels edition. I'm trying to get the one with the display case to kind of be the matching pair. It would be the red with Hot Wheels Racing and the blue with the Hot Wheels Racing. So really would like to get my hands on that one. I will probably order one while I'm here in the Philippines, but it's probably going to cost me about $100 to get it here. But it will be worth it because I need another display case anyways. So Anyways, this is your 2018 Melon. This is the 55 Chevy that you don't typically see in our videos. A lot of people are always showing these two. I just had these out here for like fillers, but these are also very cool. And then I have a couple other 55 Chevys later on that I will be unboxing to show you guys. They're a little rarer than these. This one's very cool because this is the first time this car has hosted the center line rear wheels. Usually it always had these like American style 5-spokes or ET slots, whatever you want to call them. This is the first time this car's seen the center line. So that's one thing cool about this car. It was a first for that style wheel. So those I'm not going to really go into detail because all the other guys doing this video did go into detail with those ones. So next one I'm going to show you is the first time this car was seen with rubber tires in the retail series. This is the Bad Gasser from the Car Culture Hot Wheels Redliner series. So this is the first time in retail it had rubber tires. This is when the Car Culture is still a little cheaper, like lineup. The Retro Entertainment was #1, like premium. This would have been in second rate. That's why you don't see any tail light decals or headlight decals on this guy, but still nicely done. And you're probably wondering why I have two of these out here. This is your typical light orange color. I think that's the typical one. And then this is a rare shade variant, a very dark orange compared to the other one. So as you can see, this is like, I don't know, it's a big difference, much easier to tell in person, but you can see it in the video too. I'm kind of looking through the camera now. So yeah, it's a big difference in the shades. This one was given to me by my buddy Victor Garcia, and this is like one of my favorite gassers because of the sentimental value that he gave it to me, but also because that you just don't see it that often. I never knew there was a shade variant until he gave me this, and I started comparing it to my other ones because I have another one in the package and it's also the light variant. So this dark orange one you don't see come around too often. So very cool piece, and very much appreciated that he gave that to me for my gasser collection. So next on the agenda is the 57 Chevy Gasser from M2. This was just recently released. You guys seen this in another video of mine. This is the Super Chase variant. This is a very rare car. There's only 300 of these that were made. Very cool. I like it with all the gold trim, especially the gold wheels and the gold side trim, because that's kind of typical of a 57 Chevy to have the gold Bel Air insert. So it looks really cool with all the gold stuff. But they did a fantastic job on this car because they got the straight axle right, and with the leaf spring suspension to jack it up, ladder bar, rear suspension, tubbed kind of look to it. And when I say tubbed, it just means putting very big wheel tubs in the back and narrowing the frame rails. And then not actually narrowing the frame rails, but moving the frame rails in to give it a narrower track, so you could put these really wide tires on the back of it. So a lot of guys nowadays refer to it as Pro Street. Even not nowadays, that trend came back in like the late 80s, the Pro Street, to tub your car for your street car. This is the regular variant of this 57 Chevy, which is cool too. Just the wheels, I'm not a big fan of, like this gold, like, I don't know, dull gold painted finish. If they would have done it in like the gold plating or chrome plating, I think it would have been much better. They did get the grill right on the money though. The grill insert is gold, like most typical Bel Airs. So if this would have had the gold inserts and the gold wheels, this would have been perfect. But still yet pretty cool. That's why I favor the Chase car over the regular version. Usually I'm just a Chase fan because they're rare, but sometimes I like the regular variant better because it looks more realistic. But this time I think I'm going to go with the Chase for the realism. I don't know. That's my opinion on it. I just wish the wheels would have been chrome or gold plated on this instead of this kind of gold painted look, but still very nice car. They got the Hildebrand style wheels very correct, though. I mean, they did a very fantastic job on the Hildebrands. Just wish they would have been, maybe even a gray finish would have been better. I don't know. So, next on the list is the Hot Wheels Cyclone gasser. This is one of the first variants released of this car. This is from the 2011 Garage series where the car first appeared. There's another one that says Psycho Cyclone on the side. It's white with a red top. I have that one too, but I only brought out this one to show you guys. This one's a little harder to find in my opinion, with just a plain like pattern style 60s paint job. This is a very cool car. I really like these front wheels they put on it. The newer ones, like from the Drag Strip Demons and the Redline Club purple variant. I have all of these. I have, I think, almost every single release of this car except for the Cool Classics with the plastic wheels, and then the Peppermint, I forget the name of it, Peppermint something from the convention. The reason I did not get the Peppermint one because they're what, 50 or 60 bucks, and they have the whole style front wheels, and I'm not into those. So this variant of the car I think looks fantastic though, with these slotted front wheels. The ones with the holes, they were going for like, I think, a weld super light look, which is cool. I mean, but they didn't really nail it too good, and that wheel is not really a gasser like style wheel. The slots, the 5 spokes, or even bicycle spokes were gasser style wheels, but not the weld super lights. But anyways, this is one of my favorite variants of this car. So very cool car from Hot Wheels. Then the other one is one you've probably seen in the Drag Strip Demons series, the recent release. This is the 62 to 65 Nova gasser. Well, this is an AWB car too, the altered wheelbase. You can see how everything is shifted forward. But it also has a straight axle under it too. So this is like a very iconic one too. The Wilshire Shaker was the actual gasser that someone ran back in the 60s, and it's one that you can find pictures of online. The red one that's, I think, too much too soon, I think is the name of it. I don't think that's an actual race car. Actually, I don't think any of the cars released in the recent gasser or Drag Strip Demons series are actual real cars. They're made up names and stuff by Hot Wheels, I believe. But Drag Strip Demons 1 and 2, on the other hand, used all real names, real cars they were modeled after. So this is a pretty hard one to find nowadays. So that's why I wanted to bring him out instead of showing you guys the typical regular Drag Strip Demons from the past couple of years. Because those are still relatively easy to find. Everybody picked them up. Still yet you may find them in some Walmarts or something. So that's why I just wanted to kind of be different and bring out some stuff that you don't typically see. Because I have all the other ones, but I don't want to be repetitive and show you the same things over and over again. So the next one is a car that probably you've seen over and over again. So this is the 66 Supernova. I have, like I said, every single variant of this car released. This is one of my favorite Hot Wheel castings, if not my favorite. Absolutely love this car. They did a heck of a job with it. The front wheels, everything. It's right on the money. This car is probably one of the most iconic cars to turn into a gasser. That's from the 60s, was the Nova. Like the still, like say first gen, the 62 to 67. So this is very nicely done. The other one, the earlier one, like the 62 to 65 body style one, they did a nice job on that too. But this one, I think, is the best. So I'm only bringing this one out. This is from the Team Transporter. And next week or the week after, you guys will see every variant of this car, except for the very first Real Riders one, which I don't have that in my possession here. I have it in the States, but not here. But I have all the other ones here. So I just got the Tootsie Roller in, and I'll have it in my possession probably by next week, so we can do the video, and I will be opening every single one of them, including the rewards car, the selections car, the Texas convention car, and then Tootsie Roller, and then I have another Team Transporter I will be opening, and the Drag Strip Demon. So as I said, we will be unboxing every variant of this car, maybe next Saturday. So the next two are two of my favorite cars. Not like the model of car, but just because of the detail and stuff. These two guys here. This is a set from Hot Wheels 100% called Classical Gassers. And these are two very famous body styles to run in gassers. The Henry J is probably one of the most iconic. Kind of looked like a Studebaker in a way in the front. This is from Kaiser, I believe. But this has the removable front clip too, which is really, really cool. A blow-in small block with stack like Hillborn injection. Very cool car. Radius quarters, the slicks hanging out. So very 50s, 60s gasser look. And this is what I was talking about with bicycle spokes. These are very iconic on like front engine dragsters and also gassers. So this is a very nice piece. And there is a variant on this set. Hot Wheels released it with the 5 slots in the front, and then the Austin would have had the bicycle spokes. So they do have 2 variants of the set where the wheels are swapped around in the front. So anyways, let's take a look at the last one in my lineup here. This is the other one from that set. This is Big John Mazanian's 48 Austin. I actually used to have one of these cars, but mine was a Pro Street tube chassis car. But these are really cool. This is the same thing as like an Anglia, except this is made from Austin. The Anglia was a Ford, an English Ford, but they all came from England, or they both came from England, I should say. So this also has a removable front clip with the blow-in and injected small block. This, I think, is injected. It has the 4 stacks, I think, for the injection. Or maybe carburetors. They're kind of lacking a little bit of detail there, but I thought it was like the 4 stacked, like Hillborn injection on that. But anyways, this is a very cool piece. This is the 5 slots I was talking about that would be swapped around, one or the other, but there's 2 different variants. This may have the bicycle spokes, and then the Henry may have the 5 spokes, or vice versa, like I have, where the Austin has the 5 spokes and Henry has the bicycle spokes. So very cool set of cars. Couple of my favorites. I'm still looking for the Hot Wheels gasser of him, just to have. And then he also has a CUDA funny car from a set too. I would like to have all of them lined up next to each other. I think it would be pretty cool. So this is my gasser challenge, guys. As I said, it's like my top 10 favorite castings, I guess you could say, but not all of my variants. Wanted to try to keep it as short as possible. So this is what I came up with. I hope you enjoyed it. And as I said, next Saturday, I will be trying to do the unboxing of all of the Supernovas. So that'll be another gasser shoot that I'll be doing next weekend. So please tune back in probably on Tuesday. I'll be releasing my video on Mini GT stuff. So we'll take a look at some of their newer models that they've just recently released over the past month or so. And then if you have not subscribed yet, please remember to do so. Please like and share the video. And then stay tuned, turn on your notifications, because I do 3 videos every week. I have a regular scheduled program. So make sure you stay tuned. I appreciate everybody subscribing and appreciate everybody watching. Please comment. I will get back to every one of you. So stay safe. Thanks, guys. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. See you on Tuesday.